Alright, we're going to start with the first video. It's called The Man Who Had Everything, or So He Thought. This story will kind of give the backstory as to why we started doing these types of projects, and I hope that you'll listen and understand and enjoy. And like I said, share this story if you want with friends, loved ones. It does not matter. It's a very powerful story, I believe. I've had several people talk to me about it after it's been told and said that they, share it with their loved ones and people that they know. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. This is called The Man Who Had Everything, or So He Thought. I just want to tell you a story about a guy who had everything he could ever ask for, or so he thought. This guy had it all. The beautiful fiancée, 5 beautiful, healthy children, a lovely home, good job, friends, loved ones, etc. Almost anything he ever wanted, it was right there. And that man took advantage of every bit of it. Material things was a weakness. He took a space that was once reserved for family and made it into a personal arcade. Packed full of machines that robbed him from his time for family and, most of all, his fiancée. He couldn't stop there. Had to try to renovate another space to fill it full of materialistic things. Shopping addiction was also a problem for him. The need to fill his shelves with more food and drink than what was necessary for his family to consume. This guy also kept secrets from his fiancée and his family. Not affair type secrets, but was an enabler to someone with an addiction. In return, he received money to fuel his shopping addiction. It's wrong to keep any kind of secret like that from your spouse, no matter how hard it hurts. He also didn't pay attention what mattered most with his fiancée. He could tell you almost anything about her, but never paid attention to what mattered most: her wants and her needs, not only as a woman, but as a co-parent. This man didn't help with finances either. Took care of a fraction of what he felt was needed and was so money hungry and addicted to things he would complain about having to send a little amount of money to cover a bill. That man had it all, or so he thought. One day, in his routine of ignorance, he fell asleep before the fiancée could make it back to the bedroom for some overdue attention. He blamed everything in the world on the problem except for what the root cause was. She finally decided she had enough. She didn't deserve to live that kind of life, and she was so right. She deserved better. She finally made a stance and told him how she felt. In the man's ignorance, he blamed it on other things that men tend to do when they're being rejected. Thinking he could just smooth it over and not realizing how mad she really was, he kept pushing the envelope and didn't realize what he was doing. She finally exploded, and all he could hear was what an awful piece of blank he was. She tried to talk to him. He couldn't hear and didn't want to hear what she was saying. All he could hear was toxic and diseased. Instead of taking the punishment he was faced with, he took it to another level. His anger and rage caused his oldest daughter to turn against him and not want anything to do with him at that time. The screaming and yelling caused his other kids to cry and be heartbroken. He finally made the decision. Instead of trying to be understanding and do what needed to be done, he let the devil get into his head, even worse, and tell him he didn't deserve to be alive. He had hurt his kids and the woman that would never dare hurt him like that. He hurt her. So he stopped at a local pharmacy and grabbed a sleeping substance, 2 bottles to be exact. thinking about nothing else but his pain and not taking into consideration what he was about to do and who he was going to hurt. He sped off to the mountains that he knew no one would ever think to find him. Deep into the mountains he parks and finally decides to take a handful of the substance to finish himself. As he drifts off, he thinks this is going to be the end. No more pain, no more suffering on his end. Closes his eyes and sleeps. Wakes up to find out he's still alive. He's mad because he is still breathing. He takes another handful and lays back down. He wakes up again. It's morning. Still not happy with the way it was supposed to happen. He goes down the mountain on a trip to maybe consider another plan. With suicide still in his mind, he tries to find a place to rent just so he could say he at least tried. If it really mattered anyway. I mean, he didn't care whether it really did go his way or not. He just wanted to at least make it look like he was trying. He goes to a place he was hoping he could get, just to find out the next day it wasn't going to happen. He ends up going to another set of the mountains and to sleep and talk to God and hope that this time would be different. Still woke up to disappointment from not getting the place and still breathing. He decides today is going to be the last day. It had been 3 days since he had eaten anything and barely drank anything. He was willing to starve himself. So he goes to another section of woods he knew no one would find him, and a place that was dear to his heart. It was a place that him and his fiancée met a real-life set of angels that helped them get to where they needed to go when they got lost once. He takes another handful of the substance, and instead of sleeping, he goes numb. Takes another handful, and gets the same reaction. His father had called and was arguing with him over his lack of trying. He gets a little fuel from that and decided to look up some more places to try to rent. Sends a message to someone and within a few minutes gets a message about a place for rent. Close to his kids and one of the first good things to happen to him that day. His hands are trembling as he tries to message the person back about it. And he gets an appointment that very same day to view this place. So when he got the reply back, he was still numb from the substance. But he stormed off the mountain. And on his way down that mountain, that was then that he realized he hadn't been unloved and alone all that time. He realized God was with him. God was carrying him through and still didn't understand why God was wasting his time on him. He made it to the place and was met by a burly man with long white hair and was as friendly as could be. Checked out the place and answered a few questions on an application. He left and went to a place to gather his thoughts. While sitting there as he was thinking, he received a picture of his 2 daughters. One was the baby, who was making a cute, cheeky face, and the other sitting beside an empty chair, looking heartbroken. Missing him. He didn't think he deserved her, after the way he treated them, but she still loved him. He goes back for another night in the woods because he didn't feel he deserved to be around anyone. Still talking to God and wanting what he shouldn't have asked for, he still wakes up the next morning to find out that he had some good news come in. He had been approved for the place and could come by and get the keys that evening. Rejoiced with happiness, he finally decided to break his hunger strike and take his daughter, the heartbroken one, to the place to let her see it and get something to eat afterwards. He ends up finally eating, and before they eat, he does something he hadn't done in quite some time on his own without it being about something else. That man prayed. He thanked God for everything that he provided him with. And that's when he was starting to realize what he was missing from his life for so long. The man who thought he had everything didn't have God in his life. He had the beautiful fiancée. He had the kids. He had the house. He had the job. He had the material things galore. But he was missing the most important thing, God. He knew God from a long time ago. That story will be told another day. But he had fell out of the grace of God and didn't realize that God would come and take everything away to show him. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Job 1:21. That man was me, Eddie David Neese. I was the man who did those horrible things and had to go through all the pain and suffering just to see that God was trying to get my attention. All this time. I wanted to share this because a new Eddie David Neese has emerged from the fire and ashes and is here to testify and be a light to anyone who needs to hear these words. You are not alone. God is with you. If you ever need some inspiration, and I'm not sure who wrote it or where it exactly came from, but the footprints in the sand is something I carry on my keyring and until now didn't even remember it was there. I'll quote from saying it. The Lord replied, my precious, precious child, I love you and would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you only see one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. When this was written, it was a very emotional week. I cried and talked to God more than I ever have in my life, I feel. I cried tears of sadness, tears of happiness, embarrassment. Prayed with strangers. Reached out to people that I hadn't heard from in a long time. Gotten so much support and wisdom to help guide me on my journey to get closer to God. I just want you all to know I love you. And I am here for anyone who needs to reach out. I'm going to close with this. It's not too late to turn your life around and let the power of God and Jesus Christ into your heart. Now, before, like I said, this was written. This was part of the original message. I've not stepped foot in a church for a long period of time, and when I feel the need to, I will. You don't need a church to get yourself right with God. Not saying it doesn't help. But if you're alone out there and you read or hear these words or watch this video that I'm telling you right now, and you feel the Spirit of the Lord enter your heart, don't fight it. Embrace it. Don't ignore it till you get to a breaking point that you lose everything. I lost everything. But with God, I plan on coming back better than I was, and with God, anything is possible. So when you believe you have it all, check your heart. And make sure you have God in there too. If not, you better be finding Him, or He will find you, and it won't be as easy. Love you all. Praise God, and to whoever needs to hear this, I'll say it again. You are not alone. Please have a blessed evening and look into your heart and see if He is knocking at your door. I got this shirt right here. It was right after I started doing some of this writing. I'm going to stand up here in just a second and let you see it. And I just want, it's to me it was a very big inspiration. It still is to this day.
Check out these pictures.
And just want to stand up here and the old me is dead. That's right. The old Eddie David Neese is gone. That same one that did those horrible things to my family and whoever else it affected, he's gone. He's out of here. This new one is here. And it's been close to 3 months now since the whole blow up had happened. But I just want anybody that's watching to know, or goes back and reads anything that I write. Number one, you are not alone. You are never alone. God is with you. It doesn't matter where you are, how alone you feel, how depressed you feel, how sad, does not matter. God is with you. You may not be able to see Him. You may not be able to hear Him. You may feel like you are all alone, nobody else around you, nothing else around you. No. God is there. God was with me when I was in those mountains trying to do something that I wish I would have never tried to do. I had to reach that breaking point to get to where I'm at today. I have a roof over my head. I've got more than enough food in my fridge. I've got clothes on my back, shoes on my feet. I've got my kids. And I've got a way to get messages out to try to spread the word and the love of God. And I just, I just hope that, if you are watching this, I hope that you realize you are not alone. And for anybody who is considering going down this road, please think about who all you're hurting. You're not just hurting yourself. You are hurting your loved ones, your family, your friends, your co-workers if you have a close connection with them. These people, that you think that's not going to miss you, they're going to miss you. I honestly at one time thought I would not be missed. God showed me I would be missed. God let me stay and try to give me a purpose. And honestly, I feel like my purpose is to try to spread the word and show people, no matter how bad it gets. Like somebody told me at work, if I may be quoting it wrong, but forgive me if I am, but he said, God reached down farther to pick you up than what you reach up for Him to take you up. He reached down further than what you could reach. And I do believe that. I do. I believe that God really stepped up and put His hand down as far as it would go, just for me to grab on just to a little piece and pull myself up. I don't proclaim to be a preacher whatsoever. I am not the second coming of the Messiah, or I can't walk on water. I've been met with insults in the past called preacher boy and holy man. And I just want to let anybody know that is watching this, that is the furthest thing. I am not proclaiming to be some kind of super Christian, because I'm not. I'm still in the learning phases of all this. I do have quite a few messages that I'm going to start trying to share. Do the videos like this, and if you like, then say you do. If you don't agree with something I say, then just tell me. Be like, hey, this doesn't make sense, or I don't view this like this, and that's fine if we don't agree. That's perfectly fine. Your testimony is going to be different from mine. I took a very, very bad situation that almost took my life, took me out of my kid's life. And with God, I'm trying to show others that it can be done. Change can be done. I don't care who you are. Change can be done. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I hope you like, I hope you subscribe, I hope you share. Anybody that needs to hear the message, send it to them. Let them know you're not alone. No matter how bad you've messed up, ask that man up there. Ask him. He will reach his hand down and pick you up out of the lowest pits you ever think you could ever fall on. He will. I know. Because I was that man. I was the man who had everything. Or so he thought. Peace and love be with you all. And I always say at the end of every one of my messages, you are not alone. Thank you and good night.